How's it going, everyone? This is Donovan Shanley. Welcome again to the Broken Record Podcast. I'm here with Siobhan De Mare. How's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Um, First question is, what really first got you into music?
I would say I used to like writing poetry as a child, and I wasn't particularly academic, so it seemed like a good way out. And so I just would write poems and then add a little melody in the bedroom and then have my brother screaming, "Shut up," for a while. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to listen to him. And I didn't.
Nice. What were some of your inspirations? Like, what were artists did you like growing up?
So I used to listen to Billie Holiday when I was growing up. I felt that she was sort of melancholic and quite sad. And then I moved on to like Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack, and then on to Shaka Khan, who I thought was amazing. I loved all the old school soul, really, and some of the jazz.
That's great. Um, so you've been in a band called Mono. It's a sort of trip hop band. How did that all start?
So that was a funny story actually. So the manager at the time was a friend of Martin Virgo, who was the other half of the band, and he knew of me as well in London being a singer. So he just thought, you know what, Martin needs a singer, and I know this girl, she might be good for it, which was me. And then I went and listened to some of his stuff and said, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is really my bag, but you could definitely get in touch with my sister. She's more indie because I was trying to do the whole soul thing. And he said, well, I'd like to just give you a shot first. So I tried it. And then he said, it works perfectly. And it was Life in Mono that he'd written. And he asked me to put a vocal on. So I put a vocal on, and that's how it all started. And we became a band really quickly and had to sort of write an album together, not really knowing each other. And we got signed really quickly. We had all the major London labels chasing us. And it was quite bizarre, really, because we hadn't really planned to be a band at all. We didn't know each other, but we soon found out who each other was during the writing process.
Yeah, that's great. So Mono made an album called Formica Blues. What was sort of the reception of it, like with the press and with people who knew you and everyone?
It was so bizarre because it just spiraled into this out of control track, especially Life in Mono. And then everyone was really intrigued by who the band were, who was behind it, because obviously it went into a movie, Great Expectations, and it had Robert De Niro and Gwyneth Paltrow, and it was a red carpet situation. And we were just like, what is going on? We were just two people that kind of got together through an introduction. It was like an arranged marriage, and we didn't know each other. And then we started working together and did this album, and it took off. So we weren't really prepared for the success and what it would take. We were suddenly doing TVs. We were on Conan O'Brien and RuPaul and traveling around America, and Madonna came to our show, and it was like, what is going on? So it was a bit of a dream, really, but a great dream.
Yeah, that's great. Um, so after Mono ended, you formed Violet Indiana with Robin Guthrie. How did that all get started?
Well, I think my label at the time, Echo, they really didn't know what to do with me when it turned out that Mono was not going to do a second album. So we just there was a few creative differences, and it just seemed like we weren't going to manage the second album, which was devastating for the label and probably for us as individuals. So my A&R woman at the time said that she wanted to play some of the music to Robin Guthrie and see what he thought of it and see if he'd be interested in working with me, which he was. So he immediately called them back and said, tell her to meet up with me, give her my details. And then we met up, and I think on the first or second time I met him, he brought his guitar into this little studio where we met up and started strumming it. Then I started singing. And then his friend Scott, who was actually Bjork's manager at the time, walked in and said, "Whoa, what is this? This is amazing. You guys should be a band." And then we were like, "Oh, yeah, maybe." And then that's it. We just used to meet up for coffees. And then I'd tell him what's going on in my life. And then he'd go, "Let's go upstairs and put it down in a song." And then that's exactly what happened. So he'd go into the studio, start strumming, I'd start singing my diary, and then we'd hit record and they turned into albums. So it was pretty amazing. And then the touring followed. So all very strangely put together.
Yeah, that's great. Was there a difference in like the process of making music from mono to Violet, Indiana?
I would say there definitely was because with mono, it was a lot more um, maybe stressful because we didn't know each other and we both had creative differences and ideas and lyrical ideas that we both wanted to get across that maybe didn't always match up. But with Robin, he just said, um, I play guitar, you sing, you write, you do your thing. I love what you're doing. So he kind of gave me that freedom to be me, which was amazing. So it was kind of a cathartic process working with Robin and very liberating.
Yeah, that's great. And what was the reception of the all the Violet, Indiana albums? And was it did you feel there was a difference between Formica Blues and like Choke or Roulette or Russian Doll?
Well, I think we were up against a situation where the people that came to the shows wanted me to be mono girl. They wanted to hear mono. And the people that were coming to see Robin wanted to hear me be Liz Fraser from the Cocteau Twins. So it was like they'd get there and they'd be like, "That's not mono," or "That's not the Cocteaus." And I do remember Robin used to have people come up backstage with their Cocteau Twins albums and they'd be like, "Hey, Robin, can you sign this?" And he'd be like, "I'm doing Violet, Indiana now." So, and it was the same with me. They'd bring the mono album. "Can you sign this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, do you want to check out Violet, Indiana now?" So then the good thing was we got new fans along the way that didn't know either band, so they weren't at all judgmental. But you're always up against it when you've got fans that are from the other bands, because they want more of that. And even to this day, I get so many fan mail that are like, "Are you ever going to do more mono? Are you ever going to do more Violet, Indiana? I preferred this or I like that." So you can't please everyone, and you just have to do what you like at that time and not worry about what genre or what it is or who you're trying to please. Just do your thing and don't worry.
Yeah, that's great. Um, so after Mono and Violet, Indiana, you moved on to making solo music under the name Swoon. What was sort of the inspiration for making solo music, especially after like a 14-year hiatus between albums?
Well, it wasn't really solo music. I got together with a guy. I actually put an advert on Gumtree. I was really down, and it was kind of just before lockdown. And I was like, I don't have anyone to work with. I'm just so stuck here. What do I do? And then so I put this advert on Gumtree, and this lovely guy replied and said, "Well, I'm free and I'd like to do some stuff with you." So I was like, "Brilliant." And so we got together, and he had this little attic in his house, and he was strumming away on his guitar and coming up with these great ideas. And I was going to him with some melodies or, things I thought would be good. And then we tried it, put it together, and then we got a deal with a label called San Marie Records. And I think the guy had contacted me and he said, "I want to put out anything you sing on." So I said, "Okay, well, all my back catalogue is all tied up, but I've got this new thing." And he was like, "Okay, give it to me." And he put it out. But it was a funny time because it was lockdown and it was hard for the album to really get a chance, but there's some bangers on that track which I might even bring back a few of those at some point because I think they didn't really get their fair share of hearing out there.
Yeah, that's great. And the final question of this interview, what are your some of your plans for the future?
So I'm currently recording a new album. So it's actually an EP. It's probably going to be maybe 5 or 6 track EP. So I'm working on that as we speak, and I've got some fantastic new co-writers that are doing the music with me. And there's a guy called Dan Scholes who's fantastic. You can find him on TikTok. He's brilliant. He does a lot of production for artists and up and coming, and people have got ideas. So we're doing two or three songs on the album, and then there's another guy called Name, and he's really good as well. So we've got some really good surprises for you, which I hope people like it because we've really enjoyed the recording process.
Great. So that was Siobhan De Mare. Thank you again for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and good luck with your show.
Thank you.